to lead this in, I want to share with you a little story. Okay, it's story time. We should have a little song for that. Ding, 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 that leads into the story time here. But in my university days, when I was getting my degree in astronomy, I was working on something called the Parallax program. Now, parallax is something some of you understand, maybe some of you don't. Well, what parallax is a way to measure the distance to nearby stars. So what is it actually? Well, it's defined as the apparent movement of a distant object when viewed from different positions. Now, that doesn't really help you much. But to see parallax in action, all you have to do is extend your arm out to full length, hold up your index finger, and while looking at a distant wall or whatever, just blink your left and right eye and watch how your index finger that's sticking up appears to shift against the background wall. That little thing that I've now just got tons of people all over the country and world doing right now, okay, is a way to actually see parallax in action. Now, the left eye blinks and the right eye blinks, and the distance between your eyes is a few inches, okay, just a couple inches. Well, the real parallax that we use, astronomical parallax, is calculated by using the actual orbit of the Earth. So at one side of the Earth's orbit, we look, and that's like, say, with our left eye open and our right eye closed. Then on the other side of their orbit, basically it's opening our right eye and closing our left eye. And we take measurements of the same star against the background stars. And this gives us the very, very accurate angle between the distances, and that's basically 93 million miles times 2, okay? So it's that's how big across that is. That's a big baseline, so to speak. And that will give us the distance with what's called the parallax angle. Now, this works to about 300 light years or so, a little over 300 light years. And beyond that, it's not really accurate. But I was working in the program to actually measure a lot of these nearby stars. And one day, the head of our department was in his office with a bunch of other people. And I was discussing with him that we can't be alone. I don't see how we can be alone. Basically, I felt like just by looking at our own Earth, it convinced me that there had to be life in other places. And he would look at me and he'd go, why, Mr. D'Antonio? And I said, it's very simple. To me, when I look at all the life forms on our planet, all right, and I used to call it, I said of our planet, I said, our planet is populated with life forms. I think the universe is populated with life. I said, it's a populated universe. And ironically, that was a favorite phrase of mine. And that became the title of my book, which I just finished. And then we'll talk about that at a future show. But I argued that if you look at all the life forms on this planet, all of the upper life forms anyway, have symmetry of some kind. 2 legs on one, two legs forward, 2 legs back, 2 eyes, a brain that's divided, symmetry across the center. That's called bilateral symmetry. Now, that is a template that was provided by the mechanism through which life was created on this planet. Now, we had the building blocks of life delivered to this planet by meteors, comets, and the Earth itself even built these. Those are called amino acids. And many of those amino acids are made automatically on this planet and were delivered, like I said. So clearly it relates to this approach, or this type of genesis for this planet and how we were created by the universe. Now, as far as that, now I was talking to the head of the department like this. I was telling him these things. I said it's a template that was created by the universe and given to us, and now all the life forms show this. And I even said to him, this is why we don't have pogo stick cows, bouncing around like moo, boing, 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 because no single-legged type things. All right, everything has symmetry. And I said there's a reason for that, and I think it has to do with the manner in which these carbon-based life sprung up on this planet. And he just sat there and stared at me, and the other folks were looking at him because they didn't know how to react until he could react to me. And he looked at me and he said, Mark, get back in the observatory and leave Captain Kirk to us. I was like, ugh. But you know what? To his credit, that was the 1980s. When I got my degree, it was 83. And we hadn't found a single planet around another star at that point. Now, there are many false positives throughout the years. In fact, the Parallax program induced a bunch of false positives itself because of the nature of trying to measure the movement of a star from one side of the Earth's orbit to the other. Really cool stuff. But in the end, you know, we didn't have a leg to stand on. Okay, two legs actually, because we're symmetric. We didn't have legs to stand on until the first exoplanet really was confirmed, and that was suspected in the late 80s, confirmed in the early 90s. And the thing is, that's when a bunch of programs on exoplanets began to really bloom, and that's when the search was on, and we were off.